What does it take to get people to pour onto the streets? In Nigeria, the answer is a story that started over 50 years ago. History isn't just something you read in books. In Nigeria, it's a living, breathing wound. And on the 20th of October, that wound threatened to reopen, not with violence, but with the deafening sound of footsteps marching for a cause that simply refuses to die. This isn't just about one man. This is about a protest that taps into decades of history. A peaceful, global demonstration is set to unfold from the streets of Abuja to cities across the world. Large numbers are expected to answer the call for solidarity, demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB. As the world watches, this coordinated movement could become a pivotal moment in Africa's modern history. To understand the fire behind the October 20th protest, you have to understand the embers that have been glowing for more than half a century. The story doesn't start with Nnamdi Kanu, but with the Republic of Biafra back in 1967. The predominantly Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria broke away, declaring an independent state. This act sparked a brutal 3-year civil war. It was a conflict that left an estimated 1 million people dead, many from starvation, and ended the Biafra surrender. The government's official line was no victor, no vanquish, a promise to reconcile and rebuild. For many Igbo people, however, that promise rang hollow. The years after the war were marked by policies and economic realities they saw as punishing, marginalizing. There was a sense of being shut out of the economy, alienated from politics, and a feeling that every issue that led to the war were never really fixed. The war ended, but the wounds remained. Decades passed. A new generation grew up, not with the direct trauma of war, but with the stories, the economic gap, and the lingering sense of being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. This is the soil where the modern Biafran movement took root. Groups like the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, or MASSOB, popped up in the late 90s. Then in 2012 came the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, founded by the charismatic and confrontational British-Nigerian activist named Nnamdi Kanu. Using his online platform, Radio Biafra, Kanu gave a powerful and often inflammatory voice to those long-simmering grievances. To his supporters, he wasn't just a leader. He was the embodiment of the struggle passed down through generations. He took the historical narrative of being pushed to the margins and turned it into an urgent modern call for self-determination. For them, Nnamdi Kanu isn't just an individual. He is a symbol of a deep and persistent cry for justice that was echoed over 50 years. What does it take to get people to pour onto the streets? In Nigeria, the answer is a story that started over 50 years ago. History isn't just something you read in books. In Nigeria, it's a living, breathing womb. And on the 20th of October, that womb threatened to reopen, not with violence, but with the deafening sound of footsteps marching for a cause that simply refuses to die. This isn't just about one man. This is about a protest that taps into decades of history. A peaceful, global demonstration is set to unfold from the streets of Abuja to cities across the world. Large numbers are expected to answer the call for solidarity, demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB. As the world watches, this coordinated movement could become a pivotal moment in Africa's modern history. To understand the fire behind the October 20th protest, you have to understand the embers that have been glowing for more than half a century. The story doesn't start with Nnamdi Kanu, but with the Republic of Biafra back in 1967. The predominantly Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria broke away, declaring an independent state. This act sparked a brutal 3-year civil war. It was a conflict that left an estimated 1 million people dead, many from starvation, and ended the Biafra surrender. The government's official line was no victor, no vanquish, a promise to reconcile and rebuild. For many Igbo people, however, that promise rang hollow. The years after the war were marked by policies and economic realities they saw as punishing, marginalizing. There was a sense of being shut out of the economy, alienated from politics, and a feeling that every issue that led to the war were never really fixed. The war ended, but the wounds remained. Decades passed. A new generation grew up, not with the direct trauma of war, but with the stories, the economic gap, and the lingering sense of being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. This is the soil where the modern Biafran movement took root. Groups like the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, or MASSOB, popped up in the late 90s. Then in 2012 came the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, founded by the charismatic and confrontational British-Nigerian activist named Nnamdi Kanu. Using his online platform, Radio Biafra, Kanu gave a powerful and often inflammatory voice to those long-simmering grievances. To his supporters, he wasn't just a leader. He was the embodiment of the struggle passed down through generations. He took the historical narrative of being pushed to the margins and turned it into an urgent modern call for self-determination. For them, Nnamdi Kanu isn't just an individual, he is a symbol of a deep and persistent cry for justice. Over 50 years. Biafra, 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 Biafra. We are free. What does it?
And there you have it. And there you have it. This is the Motivator Show. You translate our word into action, and where success is ours for the taking. How are you feeling, people? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Fantastic. It's motivator here. Yes, I'm feeling all powerful now. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's been a wonderful few days. I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. Ready for you for this podcast. For this will be yet another inspirational experience. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I've got to say, it has truly been a powerful few days. I've met such inspiring people, people who have really demonstrated why it's so good to be alive. It's demonstrated the qualities, the essence, the beauty, the magnificence of what it is to be a human being. People of compassion, intelligence, forthrightness, wisdom. Ah, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. You can believe it. But today's podcast will be truly inspirational. Be assured, be assured. And what will make it special is that this will be one of the very few occasions in which, between podcasts, we continue with the same theme. Today's theme will be to continue to focus on that great country of Nigeria. In what, 40 minutes' time, we're going to have some special guests here. And these guests are going to be truly inspired human beings. Truly inspired. You wait and see. But between now and then, stay with us, because there's a great deal to happen. A great deal is going to happen. And so this could be a special podcast, a special one. We're going to tackle issues of global significance that could actually determine the future of the continent. So stay strong, people. Stay strong. And together, we will change the world. Together. Oh, yeah. These are not grandiose statements. These are statements of fact because each of you are change makers. Mhm. We want a better world. To do that, we must create peace so that prosperity can be shared amongst all people, not just some people. You get that? I know you get it. Don't you worry. I know you get that. So let's move forward, shall we? Let's move forward because there's a lot to cover between now and then. In approximately 40 minutes' time, we'll have our a special guest here in the studio. So watch this space, okay? Watch this space. So a few quick announcements, a few quick announcements, and in fact, what I'm going to do to help this one along I'm going to put a timer in. I may put a time on the screen so you can see the clock, the countdown towards the interview. To give you a few moments, I'll get it up on the screen. But for now, just bear with me. And I just want to make a few announcements. These announcements are really to recognize past contributors to the Motivators Show. Again, we've been blessed. It's been truly an inspired year. It's been a year in which we have ordinary people engaged in extraordinary activities. It gives you a sense of faith and appreciation of the human condition. Never let it be said by anyone that you should feel depressed, downcast, apprehensive, depressed about the future of our species, human beings. Yeah, we have incredible qualities for not only survival but thriving. Generally, collectively we know what needs to happen in order for our societies to be better places. And I want to state before I mention my past guest, I do not believe that a human being should have to pay money in order to eat food. Mhm. Food is plentiful in the world. I say again, food is plentiful in the world. It's simply how we distribute that food to ensure every human being has an adequate diet. Again, I do not believe any human being should pay for clean water. Again, clean water is plentiful. We have the technology to ensure clean water accessible to all. I believe it's immoral that a human being does not have access to clean water. A roof over your head. I do not believe a human being should have to pay to have a roof over their head. It should be a collective activity, a collective endeavor to ensure all human beings have a roof over their head, a home they can call their home. And we should all help to ensure we all have a home. I do not believe a human being should have to pay to have access to good education, the best possible education. That again should be a collective endeavor to ensure all human beings have access to the best possible education so they can realize their intellectual, academic potentials. I do not believe, absolutely do not believe, that human beings should have to pay for health care. Access to health care, like the others I've mentioned, should be a human right. We should have access to good health care. No human being should have to pay or have healthcare scarcity. Just so a small number of people have far too much they could never consume in their entire lifetime, and too many have so little that they die long before their term. That is simply immoral. And I do not believe that wealth should be unequally distributed. So we have countries such as the United States of America. I mark that country out for special mention, where the wealth disparity is so great that the recent bill passed by Congress, was at the behest of the 47th president, transferred trillions upon trillions of dollars to the super rich, that's rich 1%, and the remaining 100 billions goes to the rest. That is simply immoral. Will add to that country's national debt and most probably cause a run on the dollar eventually. Mark my word. And I'm not an economist. Common sense dictates that level of health disparity can only lead to disaster. The richest country in the world and doesn't have a national health service, or unitary health service. In other words, a universal health service terminology you might use. Can you imagine? That's crazy. And people go bankrupt in order to access good health care. Crazy. No. Immoral. Wrong. And I do not believe a person's social potential to be determined by their gender, their ethnicity, their religious affiliation, or simply their social class, so called. That's crazy. We are but one species. We are all human beings. We're all sons and daughters of Africa. That's the motivator speaking. And that's enough for me for the moment on the moral stance. But let it be known that I will not change these positions. These positions are set, but they are grounded in common sense. So to have other positions is to work against the good interest of us all. Praise be. Praise be. So now I want to get on to past contributors to the Motivated Show who have lived up to these tenets that I've outlined and have clearly demonstrated that all these people can engage in extraordinary activities and be able to transform themselves, their families, their communities, their societies, and be truly an example of what a human being should be. And I've got to say, I want to give thumbs up to you all. You know yourselves. You know yourself. There you go. You know yourself. You know who you are. You know how magnificent you are. Let no one say otherwise to you. So just a few names that I want to give a light to, and I think it's only right. I want to give a big shout out. Do you remember him? Who spoke about the contribution Africans, indeed Southeast Asians, made to the First World War. Now, why is that significant? Here in Britain, where I'm located, many of the hundreds of thousands of people, men and women, from the so-called empire, Commonwealth we refer to there, and indeed Southeast Asia, that's India and Pakistan, who gave up their lives, who died in the First World War, their names were excluded for the memorial, even here in London, and the great cities across Britain. I want to recognize them because I then found as a result of that most recent podcast, okay, that I had members of my family who served in the First World War. But that knowledge was simply not known until we did the research and their names appeared in the records, but do not appear on the memorial. Their graves, in some cases, are here in Europe. Can you imagine? Wow. But their memories was erased by a mentality in some parts of Britain which still exists that only one ethnicity should be recognized for their contribution to that war, the war to end all wars. Anyway, there you are. Oh, that was a truly an emotional experience. Yeah? Truly an emotional experience. So I want to give praise and respect to the British West India Regiment Heritage Trust. Yeah? I want to give praise to them and their leadership for their contribution to world history. Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Paul Chambers, Comrade Chambers, Mr. Chambers, keep the flame alive. Thank you for your work. Thank you. You record a part of history that they try to erase. Thank you. Well done. Well done. A great man, a great organization, remembering the past so we don't repeat it in the future. Hmm. I also, of course, want to give light to the largest, biggest, if you like, Caribbean organization here in Britain. Yes, the Caribbean Social Forum, okay, representing all the islands of the Caribbean, those people who are represented here in Britain, bringing all the islands together in common aim and common purpose. Yeah, true Pan Africanism, if you like, in practice. United front. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. Well done. I want to congratulate all the leaders of the Caribbean Social Forum who are supporting those from the Caribbean here in Britain, particularly as they get older, so that the communities maintains its integrity. Yeah, that is supportive. Okay, and you are never alone. Thank you, all of you. Pamela, thank you, all of you. Thank you, all of you. Well done. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. I want to give light, of course, to that extra special episode we did on Africans choose a healthy lifestyle. I want to give light and give another thumbs up to Stephen Sarley, the son of Professor Charles Sarley, the founder of the Mariandina Foundation, promoting healthy lifestyles, yes, particularly amongst the African community, but worldwide, of course. Yeah. Absolutely. Battling the epidemic of diabetes and hypertension, obesity, which we'll get to shortly. Absolutely. Teaching us how to live healthfully. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. We'll be back to you. We've got a special podcast for yourself. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Stephen. Don't you worry. We have not forgotten you. No way. And I want to give the last quick announcement before I go to the lifestyle messages. I want to give honor and respect to Her Royal Highness Queen Tiso So First, an example of royalty, yeah, African royalty in the flesh, but African royalty not only in the flesh, but involved in work that is transformational, that soothes and brings people together. She doesn't simply argue and articulate only for her immediate people. She advocates for all people, particularly women and girls globally, to protect their interest at all times. Your Majesty, honor and respect to you. And to your king, honor and respect to you. You remember my guest, honor and respect. So I bow my head to you all. Thank you. Thank you again. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. Ah, just the tip of the iceberg, all my audience. That is just the tip of the iceberg. And if you haven't gone to the Motivator YouTube channel, I urge you to do so. It's a rich tapestry of the very best of humanity. I say again, it's a rich tapestry of the very best of humanity. I commend it to you. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Why not? Why not? It just helps us to continue to spread the word. So the YouTube algorithm that there's real interest in this channel, they should spread the word. It helps us to do so. Thank you in advance. Thank you again. Thank you. And those of you who contributed so far, contributed positively, thank you. And those many who are lined up to appear on the Motivators Show, I say to you, thank you. Well done, you all. Well done. And thank you for your support, each one of you. And thank you for those many messages that I've received of support. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I say again, and I say it often, if in doubt, ask questions, please. If in doubt, ask questions. And we don't mind if you wish to make comments, ask questions through our chat facility. If you're on YouTube, you can use the chat facility at any time throughout this podcast, throughout this broadcast. Please do. We welcome your comment. We welcome your comments. Okay? We welcome your comments. And of course, never leave without at least acknowledging that you were here, or to give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, we note that 92% of those of you who are viewing us have not subscribed. We urge you to do so. It really does help us to spread the word. If you approve of what we're doing here, please help us to spread the word. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now it is time for us to get to the next segment, which is, of course, the lifestyle messages. Lifestyle messages are designed to raise the consciousness that we are the change makers. It's our responsibility to take care of our health and well-being. And if in doubt or unsure, have the courage, the strength to ask and seek out professional help, support. Go to your doctor, go to your pharmacist, go to whoever you most trust. I trust that person will help you to gain the professional support that you require. But the lifestyle messages is also in response to the ongoing health emergency, particularly in the African heritage communities here in the West. Levels of diabetes are through the roof. If you're in the Caribbean, it's an epidemic. Yep, it's an epidemic, but it's not being discussed with the vigor that one would expect. In the US, it is absolutely an epidemic. Alongside, of course, high blood pressure and, of course, obesity or fatness. Yep, overweightness. Yes, it is true. Far too many people are weighed down with these two illnesses, either high blood pressure or indeed fatness, obesity. And we're not discussing it. We're not treating it as a health emergency as we should. I urge all podcasters, I urge you all to spend just a few minutes on lifestyle messages because the health emergency is real. Far too many people are dying before their term. Yeah? Most human beings, the majority of human beings, should be able to live to 100 years old in 21st century. Yeah, 100 years old. Okay. Only reason why you would not live to 100 years old because of our lifestyle. We're more than able to live to at least 100 years old. We have to work at it though, okay? Because our sedentary lifestyle does mean that we are not treating our bodies as we should. So we have to exercise. We have to be conscious that we must be physically active. Yep. We must be conscious. We must use our brains. We don't turn off just because you no longer go to school. Yes. School is for life. We always exercise our brain. Yeah. Exercise it means reading, studying, taking on new skills. Yeah. To keep our brain agile. Mhm. This is true. Spiritual enlightenment, of course, requires us to raise our spiritual energies, mhm, so that it promotes good health and well-being. It's not for me to dictate this to you or to say this to you. It listen to those who've devoted their lives to helping people, to curing people. Just listen to them, not me. Hear their words. Hear the words of the professionals, those who've devoted their lives to treating people, helping people through illnesses. Listen to what this man says, the public director for London, someone who's devoted his life to helping people, devoted his life to understanding illnesses and their prevalence in the communities, now to combat. Someone who's a perfect example of a great human being, clearly to help people through illnesses, to help them to find their way back to wellness is a magnificent human skill. And such people, therefore, should be honored and respected. I believe doctors, nurses are not given sufficient social standing, bearing in mind their important work. And their work gets to the core of who we are as human beings. And I say to people, if in doubt, ask questions. I say again, if in doubt, ask questions. Because ultimately, it's for you to choose a healthy lifestyle. Listen to what this professor says on the subject.
Professor Kevin Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active. Move it or lose it. Move daily, lift weight and do cardio. Exercise, improve physical, mental, mood and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect. Rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance and overall health.
Yes, those messages are simple, straightforward, common sense messages. The professor has spoken, not me. The professor has spoken. Common sense advice. And if you're able to incorporate his advice as part of your lifestyle, it's a high probability that you live a longer, healthier life. That's what we all want. For you, not me, for you to live a longer, healthier life. And your example will impact upon your families. Your example will impact upon your immediate friends network. Your example will then impact on your wider community. And then your example, yes, your example will transform the world. That's how change happens, where individuals take responsibility, set example for others to follow, whether you're conscious or subconsciously aware of your impact. And in doing so, I say again, we transform the world. So what I'm heartened by is the number of you who've heard these messages, incorporated as part of your message, and have acted and become the message. What I'm heartened by the number of you who've come together in common aim and common purpose, have understood we work together in unity is strength. In working together, you're able to transform your personal health, your community's health, and in working together, we together create a much better and more wholesome environment. I want to show you an example of people who have heard these messages, who have responded to them in a positive way, who've come together in common aim and common purpose, who understood that working together can be a transformative experience. So here we go. Watch this group of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose. The main interview will be in approximately 10 minutes' time. Watch this space. Here we go. Oh yes, they've come together in common aim and common purpose. They've understood working together, they can transform their health and their well-being. That's the way forward. It's time together to pool their resources, hide the facilities, and now they exercise together. That's what we do. That's it. Come on now. I hope you're not sitting down. I hope you're joining us. Come on now. I hope you're not sitting down. You'll set your arms at the very least. That's right. That's the way to do it. That's right. Set your arms down. Oh yes. Oh. That's right. That's right. You're doing it now. That's it. I feel you. Absolutely right. You got it. You got it. Get it right. Wow, that's it. You should have a bigger neck more. They're falling their short. They've even got the children there. They're coming together in common aim and common purpose. That's it. That's it. Put your knees up now. Come on, get your knees up. There you are. That's right. That's right. Perfect. You got it. You got it. You got it. Come on now. That's it. Bring your body. That's it. Bend your knees now, people. Bend your knees. You're not just sitting there watching this. That's right. That's it. You can do it. And together we'll transform the world. That's right. We've got children there, you notice. You notice. They've got their children there. Yes. The children are learning those positive habits. Well done. Well done. Look at them now. There you are. That's it. That's it. Another 30 seconds now. Notice they're big and they're small. And they're doing this together. There's no reason for you just to be sitting there watching it. Let's participate. This is for you. This is for us. That's right. Keep it up. 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 That's right. You got it. Keep it up. You've got it. Keep it up. That's right. That's right. And together we transform the world. And start with you. This short exercise routine make all the difference to you, all the difference. That's right. There you go. There you are. Yes, I enjoy myself. I do the exercise. Yes. Yeah, that's what you need to do on a daily basis. It will make a real difference. Because when we go to the interview, which will be in 10 minutes now, you'll understand why we exercise. Because we are going to create a better societies. It starts with self, with the individual, coming together and sharing that vision. The IPOB, yeah, the Indigenous People of Biafra organization, exemplified why we need to come together in common aim and common purpose. They exemplify why this podcast today will be truly inspirational. We'll get back to that in a moment. But your physical health, your mental health, and your spiritual health is important, he says, not just to you, but also to your immediate family, your network, people who you have impacted on. Because they see you in decline, it does affect us all. So we want us all to thrive. It's selfish, maybe, but if you thrive, I thrive. If it's otherwise, we've got even more work to continue to thrive. We are all interconnected. I hope that message is clear. We are all interconnected. Your happiness is my happiness. My happiness is your happiness. We are all interconnected. So what I'm heartened by is that numbers of you who've heard those lifestyle messages have come together in common aim and common purpose, have understood if we work together, we can transform our health. Individual health, yes, but transformative. South London, where I'm based, I'm here in South London, and you want to reach out to that organisation that you've given light to. I'm going to put their contact details on the screen. I know it's a privilege. I know. But why do I do this? Because their numbers have grown exponentially over these past few months or so that we've given light to their work here in South London. So if you're visiting London, come visit them and exercise with them. In fact, let me put the details on the screen now. They call themselves Countdown Health and Wellbeing. They meet every Monday or Wednesday between 6:30 and 8 p.m. The address that they meet at is 12 Tatum Street, Tatum Street. based in London, and postcode S for sugar E171TN. They welcome all of you who are serious about taking care of your health and well-being. Email address, if you wish to reach out to them, is countdown0405@gmail.com. Telephone number, if you're in the UK, it's 07960 803 588. I commend the Countdown organization as an example of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose. Understood, if we work together, we can transform our health and well-being. Absolutely, huh? That's an actual example of the transformation that is possible. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know there are many of you out there, hundreds of organizations who've sprung up just like them across Britain, across Europe, the Caribbean, and the Americas, and of course, Africa. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Send details through to me. I don't mind. At the Motivator Show at 501 at gmail.com. If you go to the Motivator Show YouTube channel, the email addresses are quoted there. Reach out to us. We might even give light to your local group as well. And together, I say again, we will transform the world. Yeah, we're all human beings. Yeah, we are all human beings. Okay, I want to give two quick announcements, and then we'll move into the all-important interview. We're what, 6 minutes away now from the all-important interview. The first announcement I want to make, and this is particularly for the diaspora and Africans, particularly for you will recall a few podcasts ago, I had an inspired African man, Bolenke. Okay. What he was able to do is articulate a position which often is not articulated, thus understanding the needs of the diasporan African, the historic diasporan Africans whose families have been away from the continent, not for a year or 10 years, but for whole generations, just like my family, whole generations. Only in this generation are members of my family marrying people directly from the continent of Africa. Can you imagine? In this generation, that's how long it's taken. And in our case, it's more than 9 generations. Can you imagine? Mhm. And that is the depth. That is the depth. This mine is just but one of millions of families who've been away from the source for too many generations. It is profound. But the AU, the African Union, has various agencies which seeks out diasporan representation. So my good friend, our good friend, Selinka, was able to come along and highlight an important initiative. I'll put it on the screen. Okay, and now, in fact, let me do this one. There we go. I'll put up on the screen. There we go. Here we are. That's it. Perfect. The Pan African Treaty of the six regions of the African diaspora. This is a treaty that brings the diaspora under a single heading, and therefore you're able to elect members from the treaty to be represented on the various African Union agencies. To obtain a copy of the treaty, which I urge you to sign and return, it's as follows. The email address is as follows: Pan African Treaty, African Diaspora, without the at the end, at gmail.com. You can see it on the screen. Pan African Treaty, African Diaspora at gmail.com. This is part of that reparations process to repair the damage that has been caused to past conflicts and dispersals, enforced dispersals. Well done. Well done, Nick. In fact, we need to get him back here in the studio, hopefully in November, because he's been engaged in some wonderful, wonderful work that I'm very, very impressed by, very, very impressed by. And in fact, there's one other announcement I want to make. I want to give an announcement on an issue that is close to my heart. because it is being championed by a person who I greatly respect. And this is the issue of FGM. Now, some of you will recognize the term female genital mutilation. What I bring to our attention now, because there are organizations set up to combat this scourge. Okay? We want to eliminate female genital mutilation. Because I've had the displeasure, and it is a displeasure, to meet women for who've undergone this terrifying mutilation, and to speak to them about the impact it's had on their lives. And it is curious that they are able to speak to me privately, but not to their immediate family and others, Here we go. So we had in our studio only a few months ago, Councillor Naima Ali, former Mayor of Southwark here in London. She set up an organisation called Unshackled Duma. She is an FGM survivor. Unshackled Duma is a London-based organisation that empowers women and girls, particularly from Black, Asian, and global ethnic and Muslim communities. The organisation focuses on promoting self-empowerment, autonomy, and advocacy, with a strong emphasis on combating female genital mutilation. It raised awareness about FGM's harmful effects, and support survivors and work toward eradicating the practice. I commend this initiative to you. If you're affected and are willing to get involved in eradicating the practice, the email address to write to is unshackleduma, followed by digit2@gmail.com. It's there on the screen. I urge you to do so. I urge you to do so. It's very important, very, very important. And when I think back to some of the women I've spoken to, gosh, we men need to have that discussion. My last announcement before I go to the main theme of today's show is that the Motivator Show is going to Burkina Faso. We're scheduled to go to Burkina Faso, and I'll put the details on the screen, and I want you all to take note. If you wish to join us on the 26th of January 2026 and 9th of February 2026, to join us to visit Burkina Faso, write to this email address. The future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. Full details will be provided to you. We will visit the country. You never know, we might even meet some great, magnificent people. I'm sure that we will. It will be truly a trip of a lifetime. Join us to be a part of the transformation. Do not listen to the Western press and media. Only listen to the people from the country. Only listen to people who have visited the country. Only listen to people who do not have an angst, but people who are clearly invested and want the country to survive. Join us and visit Burkina Faso. There you are. Thank you. Thank you. It is now time for this interview. Now let's see if I can bring my guest into the studio, because this is going to be truly an inspired experience. Here we go. Let's see if we can bring my guest into the studio. Okay, I think we can. And just before we bring my guest in, I'm going to play a short intro. I believe this short intro will be an appropriate intro before I bring my guest in, just to set the context for this most important of interviews.
What does it take to get people to pour onto the streets? In Nigeria, the answer is a story that started over 50 years ago. History isn't just something you read in books. In Nigeria, it's a living, breathing wound. And on the 20th of October, that wound threatened to reopen, not with violence, but with the deafening sound of footsteps marching for a cause that simply refuses to die. This isn't just about one man. This is about a protest that taps into decades of history. A peaceful, global demonstration is set to unfold from the streets of Abuja to cities across the world. Large numbers are expected to answer the call for solidarity, demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB. As the world watches, this coordinated movement could become a pivotal moment in Africa's modern history. To understand the fire behind the October 20th protest, you have to understand the embers that have been glowing for more than half a century. The story doesn't start with Nnamdi Kanu, but with the Republic of Biafra back in 1967. The predominantly Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria broke away, declaring an independent state. This act sparked a brutal 3-year civil war. It was a conflict that left an estimated 1 million people dead, many from starvation, and ended the Biafra surrender. The government's official line was no victor, no vanquish, a promise to reconcile and rebuild. For many Igbo people, however, that promise rang hollow. The years after the war were marked by policies and economic realities they saw as punishing, marginalizing. There was a sense of being shut out of the economy, alienated from politics, and a feeling that every issue that led to the war were never really fixed. The war ended, but the wounds remained. Decades passed. A new generation grew up, not with the direct trauma of war, but with the stories, the economic gap, and the lingering sense of being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. This is the soil where the modern Biafran movement took root. Groups like the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, or MASSOB, popped up in the late 90s. Then, in 2012, came the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, founded by the charismatic and confrontational British-Nigerian activist named Nnamdi Kanu. Using his online platform, Radio Biafra, Kanu gave a powerful and often inflammatory voice to those long-simmering grievances. To his supporters, he wasn't just a leader. He was the embodiment of the struggle passed down through generations. He took the historical narrative of being pushed to the margins and turned it into an urgent modern call for self-determination. For them, Nnamdi Kanu isn't just an individual. He is a symbol of a deep and persistent cry for justice that was echoed over 50 years.
I'll pause it there. 50 years. Oh yeah. I believe my guest has arrived. African time is the most precise time in the world. I'll bring my guest into the studio. Let's see if we can work one. We can bring him in now. Yep, bring him in now. Here we go. We'll bring him in now. Perfect. I've got my guest now in the studio. I believe you can hear us. Hopefully you can hear us. Can my guest hear us? Can you hear us? Oh, we cannot hear
Yes, good morning, the motivator, Councillor.
Good morning to you.
I greet you from my location.
Okay.
I
How are
hope
you?
I'm coming out good.
Yes, a little hollow, but it will do. It will do. It will do.
Okay.
Oh, that will do. But it's good. You're looking vigorous, if I may say so.
Yes, I'm sorry
Mhm.
that there's emergency. I have to run out to a community event here to continue our primary assignment, which is
Mhm.
evangelism, as I explained to you last
You
Saturday.
did. Yeah.
We reach out to our people, Biafrans, friends
Hmm.
of Biafra, lovers of freedom,
Hmm.
preaching the gospel of truth,
Yes.
which is our primary weapon against
Mhm.
injustice and
Yes.
every form of oppression and suppression.
Yes. You're quite right, sir. Quite right. Can I invite you, please, just to introduce yourself to the audience, just say your name, the organisation, and your position in the IPOB. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning from my location.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, good night, wherever you're listening or
Mhm.
watching us from at this hour. My names remain Chief Ikechukwu Nice Nwokoro. I'm known by the traditional title of Mwachine Emere.
Mhm.
I am, by the special grace of God Almighty, serving my beloved people of Biafra as
Mhm.
the Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB United Kingdom National Coordinator.
Mhm. Thank you. That's a very powerful introduction. Yeah, question. Others, do you have similar representatives in each of the European countries, Caribbean, and the Americas, or are you unique?
Yes,
Mhm.
IPOB is the largest peaceful
Mhm.
mass movement for self-determination or liberation
Mhm.
across the globe.
Wonderful.
We are
Wonderful.
presently registered in more than 90 countries of the world
Oh.
and
Mhm.
also an additional 28 or thereabout countries that are we are in the process of legal formal registration. So
Mhm.
IPOB is in about 118 countries of the world. You will see not just Biafrans, but
Mhm.
devout members of IPOB operating
Mhm.
under the structure and command of one
Mhm.
leadership
Yes.
under our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the
Mhm.
institutions he has put in place who
Mhm.
have been managing the affairs, the day-to-day affairs of IPOB for the past 4.5 years since
Mhm.
the enemy criminally kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya
Yes.
and
Yes.
extraordinary rendition him to
Mhm.
Nigeria.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, is the simple
Thank you.
answer. Here in Europe, we have
Mhm.
IPOB
Mhm.
structure
Mhm.
in all the major countries. And in
Yes.
each of those countries, the movement is led or headed by someone in same capacity as myself. So I have
Okay.
colleagues from
Yes. Uh-huh.
all
Uh-huh.
European countries as national coordinators. And from time to time, we do gather in those countries. I mentioned to
Mhm.
you, we were
Mhm.
in Italy in March this year.
Right.
Everybody, we were in Germany in June,
Mhm.
in Switzerland, later on in Dublin, Ireland, end of June, and in
Mhm.
first week of July here in the UK, and second
Mhm.
week of July we were in Spain, and most recently we were in Catalonia, which is part of Spain. Don't
Great.
forget,
Yes.
Catalonia is
Yes.
in exact same boat as
Yes.
Biafra.
That's right. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. And what of course indicating is that there are tens of millions of people worldwide. That's what you're really highlighting, which is why you are the largest organization of this type worldwide. And that's another one of these thumbs up that she's not generally acknowledged. And they're going to from this interview, the audience, I say to you, audience, you're going to discover even more about these great people. A question I must ask you, though, following on from our last meeting only a few days ago. There's a question put to me directly in ways which sometimes wasn't always helpful, I must say, 'cause, as I said you. But let me put this to you. Following our last discussion, this question I need to put to you. Is the IPOB campaigning for a separate, independent nation, or are you campaigning for an area named Biafra within Nigeria in which you therefore gain greater autonomy? Which of those are your primary objectives?
As we stand today, IPOB vision or central objective remains the full restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra. So you may class that as a campaign
Yeah.
for a separate nation. That's why some journalists refer to us as separatists.
Mhm.
We have a little bit of objection to that tag, but also
Okay.
we accept it and go with it. But to answer your question, so that
Okay.
our viewers and listeners can understand with a clear perspective, let me go down a little bit,
Please.
down memory lane. Your intro was quite apt in the sense that it captured the resonation for the agitation for restoration of Biafra.
Yes.
You said the war ended, but the wounds have not healed. The truth is that the war has never ended or never
Okay.
ended. And the wounds are constantly, continually exacerbated, reopened. When the genocide, which you describe as war, was
Mhm.
officially, in the eyes of the world, declared uh, an end and a truce supposedly was reached, the commander of the Biafran forces then, Major General Philip F. Young, who was standing in for the People's General, the head of state, General Chukwemeka Odimegwu Ojukwu,
Mhm.
made it clear as he was surrendering to Nigerian authorities that if you don't treat Biafrans well within Nigeria, that these people here surrendering, their children and children's children will rise up and demand
Yes.
for Biafra.
Yes, you did say
That's
that.
exactly the prophecy that we are living out when you said MASSOB, the MASSOB, which Nnamdi Kanu was part of.
Yes.
Many of us too were part of. And from there, something happened along the line, deviations, distractions, and other things, negativities and liberation occurred,
Mhm.
giving rise to a more poignant, robust movement that is IPOB. When
Mhm.
IPOB started in 2012, IPOB's major demand was for what you can describe today or what has become very common in Nigeria, a popular word, restructuring. What
Yes.
IPOB demanded was for equity, justice, fairness within
Yes.
Nigeria.
Yes.
We also requested for a return to regionalism, which was
Hmm.
the pre-independence structure and also the post-1960 agreement for Nigeria to operate. When Nigeria operated under regional government, everyone thriving at their own pace, everybody
Yes.
was doing well, particularly the
Yes.
Old Eastern region, which is predominantly Biafra,
Hmm.
consisting of the zones, political zones today known as the Southeast and the South-South. We were doing absolutely fine to the point that the rest of the world took notice and were afraid of us. They felt that if these people were allowed, another Japan was on the horizon. And that definitely is what destiny has proposed for us. That's our calling.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't matter how long is delayed, it will come to fulfillment. It will never be
Yes.
denied. So that's what
Yes.
IPOB was asking for.
Hmm.
Several um, exchanges were ongoing then. The then government was more democratic, was more listening. The government of the PDP, I am not a PDP member, I don't support any of the political parties in Nigeria, but truth must be told. At least there were some listening ears And even some of the demands of IPOB were taken into cognizance. Practically, we could see it. In 2014, there was the National Constitutional Conference called to discuss the structure of Nigeria and profile solutions so that this lingering problem of marginalization, of depression, of suppression, will be solved in truth and in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that confab made not a perfect resolution or recommendation, but something you can hold on as a framework, a
Mm-hmm.
working document to move towards progress.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that government of President Goodluck Jonathan was blackmailed out of office,
Yes.
led
That's
by
right.
Barack Obama in America, the White House, and they pushed the government out basically against the will of the people because I believe the APC rigged the election in 2025 and they rigged it in 2023. That's all they know to rig election and
Mm-hmm.
commit criminality and impunity. Then when the APC came into power, Nnamdi Kanu traveled to Nigeria. As of then, he was a dual citizen. He still had hold Nigerian citizenship. So he traveled normally and was arrested, picked up,
Mm-hmm.
locked up for nothing's sake. From
Mm-hmm.
2015 to 2017, he was
Mm-hmm.
eventually released on bail. And while he was on bail, enjoying his bail, there were again harsh negotiations going on.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians of Igbo or Biafran extraction were calling him,
Mm-hmm.
and some elders, which he listened to. And the
Mm-hmm.
IPOB leadership was discussing to table our terms. I will
Mm-hmm.
refer because I don't want to take all the time, I'll refer our listeners and viewers to do their own research what IPOB demanded in
Mm-hmm.
2017,
17.
round
Yeah.
about July, August, the meetings that were going on involving prominent Igbo sons
Yes.
and daughters who were mediating between IPOB and the government.
Yes. Yes.
An agreement
Yes.
was reached on the 13th of September 2017 for those demands. These are basic demands, but please, I don't want to waste all the time saying it. I will search it out.
Mm-hmm.
Things like build the seaport
Yes.
in the former eastern region. Don't forget, I told you last time that Calabar, which is part of Biafra, was the first capital of Nigeria,
Yes.
just
It
by
was.
the Atlantic Ocean. There has been
Yes.
seaports in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in Onne, which is another community in
Yes.
Iguacha, which is known as Port Harcourt. These seaports, after the genocide, which people describe as war,
Mm-hmm.
were closed down. For over 50
Mm-hmm.
years, nothing is happening there. Instead, everybody is forced to go to Lagos, Tinkan Island, and the
Mm-hmm.
seaport, which is highly congested, very
Yes, it
corrupt
is.
officials
Yes.
are handling it. So before you can import anything or export, whichever way, from Nigeria, you must be forced to deal
Confirmation.
with that corrupt den of thieves.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it stagnates business. Maybe an
Yes.
article that ordinarily would be sold for £2, after all the corruption level, will be selling at £20.
Yes. That's right.
So
It is
in
true.
the end,
Yep.
we were demanding
Mm-hmm.
for equity, develop our area, give us basic infrastructure, good road. Now,
Mm-hmm.
roads in their land are death traps,
Mm-hmm.
no electricity whatsoever, despite the
Mm-hmm.
capacity of electricity Nigeria generates and the oil deposits, which are all mostly in Biafra land. So check it all out, all those basic demands. And it
Thank
was
you.
agreed this will be tabled to the government of the late
Mm-hmm.
Buhari so
Mm-hmm.
that they can look into it
Mm-hmm.
and at least we come to a round table.
Yes.
Lo
And
and
that,
behold, the
yes,
next day, I'm
yes.
talking about the very next day, which is
Mm-hmm.
14th of September 2017,
Mm-hmm.
instead of accepting a hand of fellowship, the only
Yes.
branch that IPOB has extended,
Mm-hmm.
what the government did was to send troop, joint
That's right.
forces,
That's right.
military forces, to the ancestral home of Mazi
Mm-hmm.
Nnamdi Kanu. His
Yes.
father is a king, to the
That's
palace of
right.
the king to desecrate the
That's right.
land in a
Yes.
bid to assassinate him. In the
Yes.
process, officially, 28 people and Nnamdi Kanu's dog, British bred dog, Jack, were killed instantly on that same day.
Mhm. Yes.
More than that number died, because several
Yes.
were fleeing and they were shot in the neighboring neighborhood. And then many died days and weeks, even months
Mm.
after, including Nnamdi Kanu's parents, both parents,
Mm.
the
Yes.
Eze, His Royal Highness Eze Israel Kanu, and the mother Eze,
Yes.
died as a result of the trauma, physical and psychological, they sustained
Mhm.
from that dark day. Even
Yes.
those who survive are still living with the trauma, post-traumatic effect
Yes.
of that
I,
particular day till
I've
that's
I've
paid.
read. Yes.
So
I've
this
read
is
this.
your Nigeria, and that
Mhm.
changed again. Now the
Mm.
Kano escaped by the whiskers,
Mm.
and I won't provide any
Yeah.
detail. Found himself in Holy Land, and
Mhm.
eventually emerged in 2019, after over a year,
Mm.
and started his activity again as the leader of IPOB.
Yes.
He started
Yes.
making broadcasts. The IPOB leadership
Yes.
sat and re-evaluated our vision and mission. That is when
Mhm.
the game changed from that original demand
Mhm.
for restructuring
Yes.
or a better
To
arrangement within Nigeria to outright
independent
secession
independence.
or breakaway, if you like. So I think I'll put it in proper
Thank you.
perspective.
No, you have, and thank you for that necessary background. It helped the audience, as you said, and I want to affirm it's so important that the audience do their own research, do their own studies. And I've engaged in this process, and my eyes have been opened again and again. And I'm embarrassed, I say to you, sir, that I hadn't studied this subject to the level to which I have now studied. So I'm now able to engage with you at this level. I'm embarrassed I had not completed the process, you know.
Mhm.
So I seek your apology. I seek your apology. I consider myself to be reasonably well read. I discovered in the past, 10 days, wasn't particularly well read, and this is an important part of our history in a country which is crucial to the future of Africa. You know? What is resolved here in Nigeria, okay, in relation to what you correctly termed the last podcast, the nations of Nigeria, not tribes, the nations of Nigeria. Okay. How we resolve this, it will be a blueprint for the rest of the continent. Mhm. That's what I predict. But
Yep.
I'm very conscious that in your narration, of course, you've noted that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been subject to attempts both on his life and incarceration. Calls me had reason to pause. You know, had reason to pause because clearly, often he says that doesn't happen unless there's some criminality involved. But what is clear, though, what is clear, and my question will come out of this in a moment, that the courts have already indicated that there is no criminality involved here, and he was illegally, recently, kidnapped from Kenya, which is the reason why he's in Nigeria today. So my question to you, and it may be academic, but it's one that I want to put to you and allow the audience to process the reasons why I put this question to you. Now, we discussed the reasons for the Amicano's detention by the Nigerian federal government in the last podcast. But however, before we begin the interview, I want to test the hypothesis that Nyamikano is a prisoner of conscience. Mhm. As defined by Amnesty International in 1961, refers to people jailed for their political, religious, or ethical views. And provided they neither use or advocate violence. And that's clearly the case in this particular instance. But the terms used by Amnesty is this: they are detained unjustly. Okay? Their imprisonment violate international human rights standards. Their case symbolizes the oppression of free thought and peaceful dissent. Mhm. Now, this context, what we're describing, I believe, is Nnamdi Kanu as a prisoner of conscience. I believe that's the case.
Yeah,
implies that he's being punished for his beliefs and advocacy for Biafra rather than any proven criminal act. I believe, and I've asserted in the promotion and media for this podcast, that he is a prisoner of conscience. Am I right in that assertion? Is the analysis I've made correct? Please, sir.
you are absolutely correct, 100% right. The motivator, Nnamdi Kanu, meets all the criteria
Mhm,
for a designation
mhm,
as a prisoner of conscience.
mhm,
He has not committed any crime known to law, man, or humanity, and even divinity, as far as
mhm,
this objective is concerned.
mhm.
The only crime he has committed against Nigerian state, which is a criminal
Mhm.
enterprise, by the way,
Yes,
is his audacity and veracity to profess openly
yes, yes,
the rights of his people
yes,
for self-determination, as
yes,
enshrined in the United Nations Charter, in the African Union Charter, and even the Nigerian rogue constitution of
indeed,
1999.
indeed,
So
yes.
I don't know how that can be a crime.
Mhm,
He's being unjustly,
mhm.
illegally, inhumanly detained
Yes.
and maltreated for
Mhm,
that expression of his political views,
mhm,
exercising his human rights,
mhm.
also for some people, expression of even his religious views. Nnamdi
Yes.
Kanu, born a Christian,
Mhm,
converted to Judaism, and
mhm,
is very proud of it and openly
mhm,
confess it.
mhm. Yes.
Some people, even within the Biafran or an Igbo community, don't like it. I have to say this out because we are
Yes.
predominantly Christians,
Christians,
as
yes.
we have been made to be. Some people
Mhm,
say brainwashed. I'm a Christian, and
mhm,
that's my choice. So I don't
mhm,
like to use the word brainwash for religion
mhm,
because you have an
mhm.
option, you know.
Yes.
But Nnamdi Kanu's option is Judaism. Some people don't like him for that. They feel he's a threat because he's bringing
Mhm.
Judaism. And
But he is
also,
a prisoner
the
of
ethical
conscience.
side of it,
Yes. Okay.
he's been very, very clear. IPOB leadership has been very categorical, methodological in our approach and its communication as well, to say that IPOB is a peaceful,
Yes.
non-violent movement. We have never advocated, let alone pontificated violence in any way,
Mhm,
shape, or form.
mhm,
All
mhm,
we do is, like I said, what I'm doing today, go
mhm,
out there, preach the gospel of truth to people, present
mhm.
facts and figures, convince them, and convert them,
Yes.
not confuse
Yes.
them. We have
Mhm,
never used arms
mhm.
to how do I put it, to express
Uh,
ourselves or
it
to
does. Yeah.
push our
Mhm.
agenda.
Yes.
So that is a very ethical standard of the highest form. And
Yes.
we are also demanding for restoration of Biafra, not through a rogue or violent means, but
Mhm.
through the internationally acclaimed and accepted route of
Mhm.
referendum,
Yes.
the
Right.
people's
Uh,
opinion, which happened
yes.
here in Great Britain.
Yes.
Scotland have had it, lost by 4%. Many
That's
of them are
right.
not happy about it, but life goes on and they
Oh,
continue to
forgive me
push.
for interrupting. Forgive me
Yeah.
for interrupting. I need you to say that this section slowly. We need the people to hear why the Scottish referendum is comparable to the demand being made by the IPOB. The Scottish Nationalist Party sought to establish an independent Scottish state. Yeah. And it agreed to use peaceful means, and therefore through referendum. We had a referendum here in Britain, and that referendum, as you say, by only 4%, the people of Scotland did not choose an independent state.
Yes.
You wish the same for the people of Biafra. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And we have declared many times that if we were to lose a free and fair referendum, don't forget,
Mhm,
there is no free and fair election in Nigeria. And that's why
mhm.
we are calling for an internationally conducted or monitored,
Yes,
supervised non-biased, uncorrupt referendum, and if we were to lose it by any stretch of imagination or divination, we will accept it in good faith, and we will reintegrate into Nigeria happily, and they have a handshake. And we pray that our counterparts, I don't know if say compatriots, we have that maturity and understanding that this is the way a civilization goes. We have not been successful to achieve our aim via a peaceful means of referendum, and therefore we will be allowed to reintegrate and conduct our businesses, as normal. Were we to achieve it, we will also be allowed to exit peacefully, set
Yes.
up in place good on the bilateral relations and the past that will allow both people to coexist harmoniously like civilized minds, not through terrorism and through acts of primitivity. So this is what IPOB has been very clear about from day
From
one,
the beginning.
and
Can I make at this point?
this became more succinct after
Yes.
the attempt to assassinate Nnamdi Kanu, forcing the leadership of IPOB to review and re-strategize.
Okay. Can I just point out again, just for the benefit of the audience, that again here in the so-called United Kingdom, we've just highlighted Scotland, but we have similar
I
situation.
like the word so-called.
Indeed.
Yes.
We also have a similar situation in Northern Ireland and Wales. In Wales, we have a party called Plaid Cymru. Okay,
Yes.
they are the Welsh Nationalist Party. Okay, they have controlled Wales in the past. Okay, but are not yet seeking independence. Okay, but they're seeking greater autonomy from the rest of the United Kingdom. So
Sorry to
forth.
cut in the
Of course,
motivator. That
of
was
course,
the 2012 to 2017 stance of
yes, yes,
IPOB. Were
yes.
Nigeria
Well,
to be truthful, country
mhm,
where there's decency in operation and dealings,
mhm,
that proposal would have been taken. And then
absolutely.
IPOB would have metamorphosed into what you're saying, maybe to a political party
Mhm,
or movement,
mhm,
pushing for our people to elect those who have the consciousness
yes,
of developing Biafra land
yes,
into positions of political authority. And by so
absolutely.
doing, we will drive development, physical development, and
Mhm,
infrastructure and superstructure that have been lacking in our region for decades since after the genocide officially closed. But they did not. Instead, what did they do? They sought to exterminate,
yes.
to suppress every opposing voice,
Mhm,
kill them all off, tag them terrorists. And by the way, it's only in Nigeria that
mhm,
IPOB has that tag of a terrorist organization or
yes.
a proscribed
In,
organization.
indeed,
In
indeed.
all these other countries I mentioned, 118 and still counting, there is
Including
no place,
Britain,
including Britain,
including Britain.
that
Yes.
IPOB is proscribed or
Mhm.
seen as any terrorist organization because we are not. So
You're
it's
not.
only Nigeria. And that is also in contention because it's in the court. We challenged it in court,
Mhm,
and Nigeria keeps running away from their own court.
yes. They do
Other
indeed.
some courts in the some
Mhm,
other regional courts in Nigeria
mhm.
have ruled that IPOB is not a terrorist organization
No.
and therefore should be proscribed. Again, that's
Yes.
one of our demands to proscribe IPOB so that we can operate in the open in Nigeria, so that we can operate legally, legitimately, engage
Mhm,
in political, socio-economic
yes.
advancement initiatives, which we have a lot of them. If time will permit
Yes.
us, I will tell you,
Mhm,
just give a tip of the iceberg on this
mhm,
program as my
mhm,
leadership will
mhm.
want us to say.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think I mean, it is necessary for me, therefore, to highlight again for the audience that again here in the so-called United Kingdom, we have Northern Ireland. Now,
Yeah.
those of you who've lived in Britain for the past 30, 40 years will recall in Northern Ireland, we have two organisations, the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and of course, Sinn Féin. The Irish Republican Army, okay, is the political arm, as it were. Sorry, the arms of
A
the
military or security arm, yeah.
there you go, there you go. The importance of that distinction, you smart, the importance of that distinction is that, what, 30, 40 years ago, I remember it, they were bombing England in order to campaign for an independent state in Northern Ireland. Okay? It's important to note, only 30 to 40 years ago, and at one point, just like IPOB, they prescribed, you could not hear the voices of their leadership, okay?
Yes.
And for all intents and purposes, no one was talking to them. But that was a lie. The British government of all colours were talking to the IRA, were talking to their political arm, Sinn Féin,
Sinn
okay,
Féin, yeah.
seeking peace. Even though the IRA killed members of the royal family. Imagine,
Absolutely.
members of the British royal family were killed by the IRA. Yep. Even though that happened. Why? Because Britain has got a memory. What Britain recognizes that if you suppress a people to a point that they have to take up armed struggle, that undermines the integrity of your nation. If you create a nation that is dictated to by fear, an arms race, what you create in an environment in which it's not safe for businesses to operate, which is the antithesis of a place for wholesome families to grow. You create a place in which growth is hindered for fear of the other peoples who are the citizens of your own country. And that's the worst case scenario. So
Yeah.
What Britain recognized is that regardless of the outward persona, we'll never talk to Sinn Féin, we'll never talk to the IRA. Okay? They were always talking to Sinn Féin, they were always talking to the IRA, seeking peace. This is why the Good Friday Agreement
Yes.
that was promoted by a past Labour Prime Minister, Tony Blair, was a significant milestone in British history. What it shows is that Britain has a diplomatic skill and foresight to understand it is better to have peace with those who oppose you, okay, to find an accommodation with those, than for constant armed struggle. So the whole nation is affected. Without a shadow of a doubt, the whole of Nigeria is affected by this current situation.
Absolutely right. That's what I said earlier on when I referred to 2014, and I mentioned about the past government, or rather, as you alluded to, Labour and then the Conservative.
Yes.
In the case of Nigeria, is the PDP, People's
Mhm.
Democratic Party, and the APC that has been in power since 2015. And I
Yes.
mentioned that under the PDP, President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, there was a better approach to handling the issue of IPOB. One may argue that the PDP and IPOB coexisted only for
Hmm.
maybe 2.5 years, but
Hmm.
at least you can see the intent there
Yes.
and a bit
Yes.
of sincerity of purpose in the handling, in the approach. But immediately the APC took over, Buhari came into power in 2015, it turned 360 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly what you described here:
Yes. Yes.
non-engagement, propaganda, blackmail,
That's
kill
right.
them anywhere you see
That's
them,
right.
exterminate
That's
them,
right.
and
That's right.
threatening everywhere, to the point that
Yes.
he went to America and was bragging of how
Yes.
they dealt with Biafrans in the
That's right.
1960s, and that he would do it again,
Yes.
telling the whole world that after you committed a genocide, killing more than 6 million innocent people, that you
Hmm.
are prepared in 2015, 16 to do
Hmm.
exactly the same thing again. That is madness.
Mhm.
Such a person with such mentality is unfit for purpose, is not fit to be anywhere near national leadership.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
this is the
Agreed.
problem in Nigeria.
Mhm.
Square pegs in round holes. The crop of people leading Nigeria today, I make no assumption,
Mhm.
98.98% of them are unfit to be in governance.
Mhm. I'm not going to contend and I'm not going to contradict those words because it is evident that they have not observed the lessons of Britain. They have not observed Britain and America's intervention in in the elimination of the so-called Berlin Wall. Yep, that was
Yeah,
happened peacefully. They've not observed and taken board the history, indeed, of the old Yugoslavia. Yep. So now we have two nations, but that was possible through negotiation, where Britain was very much involved. They've understood that if you allow armed struggle of this type, this internal tension to continue, you undermine your economy. You undermine the economy. And in
you
doing
undermine
so,
security as well,
there you
because
go.
armed struggle breed fear. Fear
Breathe
feeds
fair.
insecurity, and
Thank you.
insecurity in turn breeds more fear. So
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Well
it's
said.
a natural cause.
But today, sir, I want to focus on what happened on Thursday the 16th, when Nnamdi Kanu appeared in court, expecting to be released based on previous court decisions that granted him freedom due to the illegality of his arrest and, of course, his declining health. I understand that the Nnamdi case has now been adjourned to the 23rd of October. You may want to correct me.
Yes,
But,
next
oh,
Thursday. Yeah.
okay, for the commencement of his defense. Additionally, the judge ruled that the DFF, which is, I'll leave you to explain that to the audience at the moment, medical facility adequate for his medical care, and that he has until the 30th of October, and this is what I found curious, to conclude his defense in light of his ruling by the judge, has the prospects of his release in the near future increased or decreased? That's really my question.
That is a very interesting question, really.
I'm
Yes,
not sure I
in
can laugh,
terms of
sir. I'm not sure I can laugh, but I was so depressed when I wrote
mm,
this. I was so depressed, but please, I'm hoping that you might be able to enliven us. Please, go ahead.
right, yeah, yeah. And before I answer your question directly, the what happened on last Wednesday at the Abuja High Court
Hmm.
is very depressing, very disappointing.
Yeah,
But with Nigeria, expect the unexpected because nothing was normal in
yeah,
Nigeria. There is no justice. That court is not a court of justice, it's a shrine of injustice.
indeed,
And we know
indeed.
this already because from the off, it was clear that Nigeria, which committed an international crime
Yes,
of
yes,
kidnapping and extraordinary rendition,
yes.
was bent on convicting Nnamdi Kanu. Despite the fact that on October 13, 2022, a
Hmm.
federal appeal court in the same Abuja, a higher court than this current high court in Abuja, ruled and declared a verdict of discharged and acquitted because the court had acknowledged and admitted that what Nigeria did was wrong, and
Yes,
therefore he did not have any jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu.
well said. Well
About
said.
3 months ago, a high court in Nairobi, Kenya, under Justice Wita, ruled again that the 2021 abduction and forced transfer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu
Yes,
from Kenya to Nigeria was unlawful,
that's right.
unconstitutional, and was a violation of his human rights.
That's right.
The Kenya
Um,
found both Nigerian and the court found both Nigerian and Kenyan government responsible for breaching Kanu's legal protection while he was on Kenyan soil, and therefore awarded him 10 million Kenyan shillings, which was about approximately now 78 or thereabout, I don't know, US dollars in compensation. This is what I'm, this is a case. This is the latest, and there have been several other calls, as I said, even in Nigeria, Biafra land, that have
Mhm.
all ruled that Nigeria was wrong.
That's right. Good.
Nigeria, instead of finding a way to call, Nigeria is a funny
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
It's a crime scene where you make
Yeah.
one mistake. Sorry, the
They
if I
compound
make
it.
a
They
mistake
compound it.
now,
They
and
compound
you are
it.
putting
Yes.
it the wrong way, the only next action I will take is to correct it and put it the right way.
Yes.
But in Nigeria, that defies logic. If they make one mistake, they are so arrogant. They will use impunity to continue the illegality and extend it. That's exactly what this court is doing. In December 2023, instead of the Supreme Court, for some reason, the Attorney General then, Malam Malami, who actually had a big hand in kidnapping Nnamdi Kanu, refused the judgment of the Federal Court of Appeal
That's right.
and went and got a stay of execution of the order and went to the Supreme Court to challenge it. Who does
Yeah.
that? And months later, we found out that the judge that gave that popular decision has been murdered. No
Yes.
investigation to today. So all they did was to overturn justice and say they are remissioning the case back to the High Court
Mhm.
under the same Bint and Yako, who obviously couldn't handle the case. Nnamdi Kanu clearly said she was biased, and she was, and she admitted it, and she had to recuse herself from the case.
Yes.
And this
That's
new
right.
judge was appointed, who promised, he's not a legal judge, he's a political judge. I know this judge personally. Well, I met him before
Mhm.
when he was
Mhm.
much younger. He's very
Yes.
corrupt. Or he's one of the president's boys that do his bidding, this President Tinubu. So all he's doing in that courtroom is, enacting or acting the script his masters are giving him.
Can I
The
just interrupt
pronouncement
here?
on
If I
Wednesday,
can interrupt here. Can I just
sorry,
interrupt
let
here
me
before
just
you?
bring this down.
Okay. Okay.
After they paraded some ridiculous 5 witnesses who came to the court to just keep yapping, I don't know. I have no idea. As I will ask my oga, I wasn't there. Witnesses had no clue the case that is under prosecution. Instead, they were telling the lies that they were asked to rehearse. Some of them couldn't even rehearse the lines very well. At the end of it, Nnamdi Kanu's defense team thought, you know what, these people have no case. This is just a charade. There's nothing to go
It's a
into. That,
job.
that was
Yes.
why they made a no case submission to the judge. But the judge decided, of course, his masters told him no. So he decided no, that Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. What is the case he has to answer? He hasn't been able to say it. He said some of the
That's right.
things the witnesses said he needs to clarify. If I come to you, counselor, saying
Mm.
things that are unfounded, ridiculous, or whatever, and at the same time contradictory, what have you got to clarify?
That's
And
right.
then in the no case submission, the so-called clarification they were seeking was there. So a judge who is a properly legal, unbiased judge will look at the submission and just pass a ruling and accept the no case submission to end this case.
Mm.
But instead they say, oh, he needs to come and answer. When he answers, then we will know what to do. We know what they want to do. What they want to do is that they want
Convict.
to convict him
Hmm.
illegally,
Yes.
jail him, and then begin to now seek a way to say, oh, we want to plead with the president, who the people have been pleading with for 2 years. We want to plead with the president to give him a presidential pardon under prerogative of mercy, blah, 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 as if he committed any crime. And then they
Hmm.
will use that. I'm predicting now what they're going to do, and I know them. You will say, I said so. They will use that to say, oh, instead of giving him unconditional release, which is what he merits, that we
Hmm.
are going to attach some conditions to it. We already know
That's
last
right.
week they met him
Yeah.
in the detention, presenting some documents for him to read and sign as
Oh.
conditions.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
yes, they
Okay.
did. And
Mm.
because he refused, that's why the drama in the Wednesday court came up. And
Oh, wow.
IPOB have insisted Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime, as I said at the beginning of this program, known
Yeah.
to law, any law, local and international, even known to humanity and divinity, in so far as the quest for peaceful restoration of Biafra is concerned. And that is
Mhm.
the reason why you're holding him there, presumably
Mhm.
or supposedly, because we don't even know what they're holding him for.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, they want to
Mhm.
give a dog a bad name to attempt to hang the dog, and then they start
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, we let you off because we are showing you mercy and all blah blah blah." Nigeria
Mhm.
has every platform or plethora of opportunities to have a soft landing on this matter and
It is
save
true.
some face, at least gives the country some dignity. But this rogue regime prefer to continue to rub mud on themselves and on the good people of Nigeria. Nigeria, by the way, not only Biafra, has very good people, very
Yes.
highly endowed
Yes.
intellectual people all over
Yes.
the world. And these idiots
Yes.
are busy rubbing mud on everybody's face.
Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you, and thank you for that explanation. It does. It will help the audience to appreciate that broader context and the mentality of the current leadership in the country, federal leadership in the country. And it's important to notice the federal leadership and who's behind them. But clearly, they're making historically what are clearly mistakes. You know? They're undermining Nigeria's economic vitality by these actions. Okay, a person that represents what, a third or so of the population. Okay, treating this person in this manner clearly is not in the national interest. Just like Britain recognised, yeah, the so-called United Kingdom, um, engaging in military warfare with the Scottish Nationalist Party would have been counterproductive. Engaging in military warfare with Clyde Cumber in Wales would have been counterproductive. Engaging in open military warfare with the IRA, the Irish Republican Army of Northern Ireland, even though they're bombing Britain, would have been counterproductive. It is better to sue for peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you are. The Nigerian government is making these very basic errors. And I am not, he said, a politician in Nigeria. But for heaven's sake, oh my dear, these are so many own goals. I say to the president, if he deigns to watch this particular podcast, why make such a basic error? Sue for peace. Seek peace for the people. Yep. Compromise is the only way to peace.
We
But
say
this way,
release Nnamdi Kanu,
mhm,
call IPOB to negotiation table in all
yes,
honesty, and we can revert to the 2014 mode. There will be
okay,
peace everywhere.
okay.
But
Let me,
because also, let me
mhm,
put this on this
of course,
program, the
of course.
insecurity, the lack of peace they have created has become a
Yes,
looming business in Nigeria. The
yeah,
most lucrative business in Nigeria today is banditry,
yes,
kidnapping, armed
yes,
robbery,
yes,
political robbery, and thievery.
yes.
No other business of note is viable. If you engage in it, if you invest in it, you are
That's
doing
right.
so at your own risk. You're going to lose your hard-earned money.
Mhm.
And these are
I,
leaders.
I note, sir, I note that every day I read the Nigerian newspapers, watch the news. There are killings. There are killings, both up north and in the areas of Biafra. There are constant internecine killings happening every day. If it were
Communities are
happening,
sacked in the middle belt, which is the north central.
yes,
Whole communities have been sacked from their land,
yes.
and they are
Can
now
you
living in what is
imagine?
called IDP,
Hmm,
internally displaced people's camps. Some have fled in the news, you could have said.
yeah,
Some communities
yes.
have fled from Nigeria and ran
Mhm,
into neighboring countries like Cameroon and even
mhm,
Chad
yes,
for
yes.
their lives.
And this is
So
happening today, people. Forgive me, sir. This is happening today in Nigeria today. It's the reason why we don't hear about it because the news media here refuse to report upon it. But if it was being reported on a daily basis, we'd all be alert that this must be resolved. This must be
I'm
resolved.
glad. I'm glad
Mm,
that somehow there's been a ceasefire agreement between Israel and
mm. Thank,
Palestinians. So I am
Yes.
pleading, I'm using this medium to plead to the world media
Mm-hmm.
and people
Mm-hmm.
of good conscience to now forget Israel and Gaza. They have a
Mm-hmm.
template to live or seek
Yes,
peace and live harmoniously and
that's right.
search their beam lights to Nigeria. It's high time the whole world focused on Nigeria because
Yes.
the impunity and the criminality going on in Nigeria is worse than anywhere in the whole wide world. Quote me.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Thank you for that. And I'm very mindful as we speak about this that, and I've said this on many occasions, we should always listen to our women. Mhm. Now we kind of has got a wife. I have listened to a number of her speeches, the interviews. I am truly inspired by her. And forgive me if I mispronounced her name. And please, ma'am, please don't laugh at me if I mispronounced her name. But I want to say it. Ikechi Ekwo Kano. Is that right?
Yeah, Uchechi Okukanu, you're very correct.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, she is a human rights advocate and has become a steadfast voice for justice. She tirelessly campaigning for the release, of course, of her husband, Nnamdi Kanu, and of course the Biafran court. Her grace, her courage, her resolve embodied the strength of African woman in the face of struggle. Please, if you're able to share those feelings about her husband's situation and the Biafran cause, I invite you to do so. I know you've spoken to her recently. How is she feeling? How is she responding to this situation? We need to hear the words of the women, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
wife of our leader,
Mhm,
who is also IPOB's first lady,
mhm,
Lolo Uchechi Game Anyanwotutu Okukano is her full name,
mhm.
is an Amazon, a very strong woman, as you said,
Yes, yes,
physically and most importantly, spiritually.
yes,
That's
yes.
why she's able, not by her own power alone, but by the special grace of God Almighty,
Hmm.
to withstand this storm
Yes,
and what all the debris that's been thrown at her personally,
yes,
her
yes,
family, and the movement, because she is a strong supporter of IPOB leadership, the
yes,
Directorate of
yes.
State. Nigeria has brought so many people as infiltrators,
Hmm.
detractors in our movement. And these people or elements are also being used to attack this honest, humble
Yes,
woman
yes.
in the most vile and vicious manner, almost on daily basis.
Mhm,
She has campaigned vigorously. First, when Nnamdi Kanu was renditioned, she was doing all her work, if you like, underground, making
mhm,
all the necessary contacts, working closely with IPAB leadership. But from September 2022, when she attended our first annual general meeting in my own city of Leicester, she has been publicly vocal. And ever since then, she has been on IPOB platforms, media, has launched even her own media platforms, solely campaigning for justice
mhm.
for her husband primarily, and also for other Biafrans. She does not only campaign for her husband, there are many other IPOB members or and innocent Biafrans that have been kidnapped, disappeared in Nigeria. Many have died as well in detentions or
This is true.
ritual murders. So she has been a vocal voice against these heinous crimes and
She has.
injustices.
Yes, she has.
She continues to be. In a few days' time, she's going to be in London where she's been working with some lobbyists. I'm not allowed
Mm-hmm.
to disclose details, doing great work,
Mm-hmm.
which we started since, as I said, 2022, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Working with different human rights groups here in the UK
Yeah,
and
good.
also contacting those internationally, just as the leadership of IPOB has been doing. So
Mhm.
she is a pillar of support to
Yes,
IPOB leadership To my humble self and my office, the office of the IPOB UK National Coordinator, she's a mother to us, providing guidance. We work together and put, exchanging notes and strategizing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as I said, you are dealing with monsters in the shape of Nigerian government. And we are even dealing with the bigger elephant in the room, which is the
Yes.
British hegemony, because of their huge interest in Nigeria, or rather Biafra natural resources,
Yes.
oil and gas in
Yes.
particular, and other minerals. Because of the very unfair trade, let me use the word trade in quote, it's not even a trade, it's looting, outright looting of Africa's resources. All this effort by this great woman and many others, I must say, there are many other great women we have in our movement,
Mm.
is not even, yielding the right fruits, or the fruits are not maturing the way they should. In our cultural setting, when women
Mhm.
come out to cry for injustice, there is no king that will not listen.
Indeed. Indeed.
But in this
Indeed.
instance, if this poor woman has been crying, several other women have been crying.
Yes.
Okay, forget my own voice. You might think I roll like a lion now. Some people are scared of my face. What about these women? These lovely women, you don't even have a heart, a conscience to listen to them
Yes.
and watch their stream of tears welling
Yes.
down their cheeks.
Yes.
You must be a demon, and you're unfit to be in governance and leadership of humanity. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what Nigeria represents.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Thank you.
she's doing
Yes.
fantastic well. We continue to support her, even in her challenges. She's facing her challenges of her own. Recently, she was hospitalized, underwent
Yes.
a major surgery. She's
Mhm.
on the mend, thankfully, and is recovering, recuperating well.
Mhm.
We wish her all the very best. But you can't even believe, even in that state, she was able to uh, come to my own program, my radio program on Radio Biafra for over 3 hours.
Okay. Yes.
Next Sunday, she will be on Biafra television. I guarantee you, it's going to be another 2, 3 hours. And you
Mhm.
wonder, where is this energy coming from?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
All we can say is that, Lord, Chichoku Kanu, the Lord is with you. Remain resolute, be ever steadfast and fearless, even
Yes.
in the face of your worst enemies, as we are. That
Yes.
is the number one characteristics of IPOB members. Fearless in the
Yes.
presence of our enemies.
Thank you, sir. I've got to say that I've listened to her at length now, and in the re-edited version of this interview, the audience will hear her voice, and it's a voice I'm assuring you we all want to hear. Let me assure you. Okay, let me assure you, it is truly inspirational. Truly, I look forward to meeting her myself, but hopefully one day
Yeah,
with
yeah. I will
that.
speak to her. Maybe she will
Forward to it.
appear on your show. I'm sure she will. She won't mind, but we will see how that goes.
We see how that goes. But can I just also ask a question that the IPOB UK membership is supported? They responded to the situation with their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, and and the more recent adjournment and the condition and the background to that adjournment. How have your members responded? Are they angry? Are they pensive? Okay, are they thoughtful? Or are they really, really frustrated? How have they responded to you, sir? Can you share a few examples?
It's a roller coaster of emotion at the moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Only last night we had a leadership meeting of my
Mhm.
coordinators, about 40 of them across the whole
Mhm.
UK. In fact, the meeting lasted into the early hours of this morning.
Oh
You
wow.
bet,
Okay.
you bet I've not had any sleep practically.
I understand. And we
We
appreciate
reassess the
you.
situation, but in terms of our response, it has always been systematic, measured, right from the word go, following the directives of our leadership, the Directorate of State.
Mhm.
Right from the first time in 2021, we have always responded appropriately, accordingly. through peaceful protests. We've had a number of them across UK. Last time on your program, I mentioned some more diplomatic engagements which we are involved in. Some of them, the details we can't disclose, but
Mhm.
including even the ones we did to the clergy,
Mhm.
the religious, going
Mhm.
to all the four major cathedrals, the whole of UK. We are
Mhm.
still doing those. We will
Okay,
continue
good.
to do them.
Yes.
Last night, we agreed to repeat what we rinse and wash, as it were, what we did in 2023, which was to contact all the MPs again about this
Good.
situation.
Yes. Yes.
Then, obviously, now that we know that Nigeria has bared their fangs, we see exactly where they're going, which to me is not unpredicted.
Mm.
We will still hit the streets again in peaceful march and demonstration, but more importantly, in exactly what I'm going to do today to evangelize our people. We have our leaflets or flyers that we talk to people and give and signpost them to the
Mhm.
relevant places. And by the way, thank you for your kind suggestion to us about our website. I've taken
Yes.
that on board with our leadership, and
Mhm.
I do, in all honesty, agree to your observation, and we will need
Mhm.
to upgrade it so that people we are
Mhm.
signposting will get
Yes.
all information under one roof, that they
Yes.
need.
Great.
Absolutely important. So that will be done. We are
Thank you.
continuing here in the UK. Starting from tomorrow, you know that on Monday
Mm.
is the protest march in Abuja,
Can I, before
which
you do that, forgive me, sir,
yeah, it's not
the answer to that
IPOB. Let me
question.
make this clear. It is not an
Okay.
IPOB organized event.
Ah,
But we
okay.
we in the diaspora, we be paying
Yep.
respect to the
Mm.
courage of those who are doing it in our own
Okay.
way. And then we will do other activities on the day Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will appear in court on Thursday, the 23rd, and then
Right.
subsequently have a daily contingency plan that will be commensurate to whatever action they are taking, because action and reaction must be equal and opposite.
Mm. Thank you for that. And yes, you've qualified it because clearly IPOB in Nigeria is a prescribed organization, which means you cannot openly operate in Nigeria, even though you have enormous support in the country. Okay. But the question I wanted to put to you in regards to the 20th never left, of course, bearing in mind that we have, in effect, a renegade federal government who clearly, in the manner in which they're treating Nnamdi Kanu, it implies that, are you placing calling for, I know you said you're not calling, you didn't call for it, but nevertheless, the supporters in the country have. There are certain names which have come up, which I'll leave you to quote those names. Are the supporters being placed in harm's way? Now, I know that there's this other organization, the Global Defense Consortium of Nnamdi Kanu, also believe that this movement, well, it is, I wasn't sure if they're within the country or outside the country. So is this protest on the 20th likely to stoke the flames of protest? And should we be concerned that that protest might become violent?
Um, First and foremost is to say that I
Mhm.
reiterate, it is not an IPOB protest or
Understood.
march.
Understood.
We
Understood.
didn't call for it. We're not organizing it.
Mhm.
Our leadership is not unmindful of the consequences, gleaning from our experiences. Every time Biafrans come out in the open to protest,
Mhm.
they are mowed down.
Yes.
We have lost tens of thousands of people killed by Nigerian security agents,
Mhm.
some of
Terrible.
them not even
Terrible.
protesting, just for
Yep.
being
Terrible.
identified as a Biafran supporter or an IPOB member. You
Mhm.
are in high risk. So we will not put our people in harm's way for
Okay.
self-destruction beyond what they have already done to us. But note, and I want our listeners to know this categorically,
Okay.
that Biafrans, IPOB members within Nigeria are still Nigerians. They are
Yes.
citizens.
Yes.
So this protest or march, called by one of my comrades, Omoyele Showore, a Yoruba man, He initiated it
Mm-hmm.
and is calling it for all Nigerians,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
inclusive of our people. So
Absolutely.
anybody
Yes.
going there is going as a Nigerian. I am
Mm-hmm.
glad that even the student union body in Nigeria, the National Association of Nigerian Students, of which I was formerly a first vice president
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
also has joined this protest. And I know from my student unionism activism days that anything now the students' body identify with becomes very serious. They are mobilizing seriously. I've been in touch with some people. They are really, really 110% behind this. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
I give them thumbs up. I give them
Okay.
kudos. But that's the
Okay.
way to go. But we are also not ignorant of the fact that this government in Nigeria have
Mm.
no human face or
No,
feeling.
indeed.
That
Indeed.
same Monday will be 50th year anniversary of the NSAS protest,
That's
where
right.
innocent Nigerian youths
That's right.
who were unarmed. The
That's
only
right.
thing they had armed with was Nigerian flag.
That's
Singing the
right.
same Nigerian anthem, were
Yes.
brutally murdered at the Lekki
Yep.
toll gate in
That's right.
Lagos.
That's it.
5 years on, no justice for the victims. Nothing has been done. So this time around, they are going to Aso Rock, the seat of power. Is a bold step, but still, you need to be prepared. But as I
Mm.
said earlier on here, it's high time everybody moves without fear
Yes.
in their heart.
Yes. Okay.
Go there, civil is a peaceful protest. It's nothing to do with IPOB, nothing to do with Biafra. Our leadership has already advised people do not bring any paraphernalia, Biafra flag, or
Mm-hmm.
anything, including even this little bit, anything with Biafran color to that event.
Ah.
Otherwise, they will give it a
Yes.
different coloration. So
Yes.
just go there as a Nigerian, exercise your right. The bigger, the better. I personally believe that if they're able to mobilize a mammoth crowd of 1
Mm-hmm.
million plus,
Yes.
it will shift the atmosphere. It
I
will
agree.
change the narrative.
I
It's not
agree.
a protest that will be a handful of people or a couple of thousands. Nothing will happen. In fact, they will shoot them. So you move in your numbers, market
Mm-hmm.
women, trade unions, all the people that are hungry and angry come out but peaceful. I bet you by the time you occupy the whole district of Asokoro up to
Mm-hmm.
the presidential office, up including where now the Kanu is being held at the
Mm-hmm.
DSS,
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere will change.
I agree.
So
Agreed.
this is the fact. But it is not
Agreed.
an IPOB event. It is not a Biafran program. However, we are still taking ownership of our leader Nnamdi Kanu in the
Yes.
present circumstances. We will not abandon him. Therefore, we in diaspora, at least we are not under any major threat. We are free, in quotes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Must show some solidarity and
Okay.
support to the
My
movement to
next
happen.
question. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Um, so will there be solidarity gatherings in London, Washington, Kingston, Jamaica, and other places? You
Yes, yes. On the
know?
last night meeting, we looked at the diverse ways. There are many
Hmm.
ways to show solidarity, not only
Hmm.
by coming out in the
Hmm.
public.
Hmm.
One of my brothers declared today, 18th of October, solidarity is popular on social media, that all his posts for 24 hours today will be dedicated
Yes.
to Nnamdi Kanu. That is
Good.
huge solidarity. So
Yes.
people we will do many different things. We will
Hmm.
also go to the street. As I said, I'm going now already to do
Hmm.
evangelism. That's solidarity.
Yes.
People have mandated all my leadership team members to do exactly the same. I told
Hmm.
you we have more than 40 zones in the whole UK.
Yes.
So everybody do in your own zone, and then the day that Nnamdi Kanu will come to court, we have a plan subject to approval by the IPOB leadership. We will gather in key places in London, in Midlands, maybe Nottingham or Leicester, wherever we agree, in
Hmm.
Manchester or Liverpool for the North, and in
Okay.
Glasgow or Edinburgh for Scotland and the Northern Ireland. So this is the plan we have.
Good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It might be useful. I know you are still upgrading your website address. If you could give out your website address, and details about how people can contact or find Radio Biafra. Did you have the details, or I may have the details? In fact, In fact, I can put it on the
Yeah,
screen
you
for you.
can put it up. Our website is
Hey.
www.ipob.org. And of
Yes,
course, you
sir.
can see if you're watching, you can see the Radio
Yeah.
Biafra website there. We also have the IPOB Community Radio app and the Radio
Mm-hmm.
Biafra app. Easiest option will be to download these apps, and then you will get further signposting to other IPOB platforms. People must also be mindful that given what IPOB has gone through and the danger
Mm-hmm.
we are perpetually under,
Yes.
information management has become a key discipline or subject we are
Yes.
mastering on daily
Yes.
basis. So don't expect our website or the media to have everything you want. And
No.
don't expect us to answer all your questions in a layman language or plain. Sometimes we speak in parable because we are led by the Spirit. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
in the Spirit to understand how we roll and how we
That's
flow.
right.
Thank you.
Well said. Thank you so much. And the website address is on the screen. It's radiobiafra.co is what I've got here, and I've got for the your main website, which is www.ipob.org. There you are. It's on the
Yes.
screen. I'll include it in the commentary section for this podcast, and I would encourage people to think carefully when asking questions. That's what I think it's right. Thank you for that. Can I just,
And you can also see the signpost or the link to support the movement in any way and shape you can. I said
Mhm.
earlier on, IPOB is unique in the sense that we are self-funded. Do your
Yes.
research once again. I always ask people to do research
Hmm.
about liberation movements all over the world from time immemorial. You see that a lot of them have funders, supporters, secret or open. But IPOB, we have no godfather. The only
Hmm.
father we have is Almighty God in heaven, who has
Yes.
given us the strength, the power, and the wherewithal to support and fund this movement to actualize the restoration of Biafra. So your support will be highly appreciated.
Your responses to my questions continue to inspire my audience. What are your final words to the people? What are your final words?
My people say in my local Igbo language, Udokama, which literally translates, peace is much better.
Yes.
Peace I give to you, and as the Lord said, my peace I leave you with. Let us seek peace, but there will not be any peace without justice, equal rights, and fairness. This is all IPOB is asking for. It's not too much to ask for. We have not come to destroy anybody. Even last night, I declared to our people, woe betide any of our members or my leadership team that we have any hand in any form of impunity, criminality, or wickedness, because that is against the spirit of Biafra. We
Mhm.
will never, ever kill anybody, let alone a Biafran. We will never, ever do harm to
Mm.
anybody innocent. All we do, this must be noted, is self-defense.
Yes.
As peaceful
Yes.
as we are not coward too.
No.
If you bring the war to us, you will get it.
Yes.
We will fight and defend ourselves to remain alive, to achieve our purpose. But we will never go against anybody because we don't deploy aggression, we don't deploy terrorism, we don't deploy violence in all our activities. We
Mhm.
go our business peacefully, and we want people to relate with us peacefully so that in the end we achieve the ultimate peace that is indeed true peace, justice, equity, and fairness.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Forgive me. I must do this to you. There we go.
Thank you.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you, sir.
Yes.
Much
Oh yes.
appreciated.
There you are. There you are. I needed that. Absolutely. We wish you well. Our doors are open to you always. Okay? This was an unusual step that we had the same person on two consecutive podcasts. The importance of your words cannot be understated, not only for the future of Igbo people and Biafra, indeed Nigeria, but for Africa. Africa is watching. This blueprint, the leadership, the federal government of Nigeria has the opportunity with yourselves to develop a blueprint for peace that we can use not only in Nigeria, Biafra, but right across the continent. The African way is truly a peaceful. Peace be with you always. And extend
And you
our
too. Thank you so much for having me. Much
and, ex,
appreciated.
and extend our best wishes both to your leader, Nnamdi Kanu, and to his wonderful wife, who I now have had the privilege to listen to and appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace be with you always. Thank you. Well, there you are, people. There you are, people. Outstanding example of humanity. What happens in Nigeria will have implications for West Africa and for the continent as a whole. They can and will find peace, I trust. They can and will find peace, I know. It's not a belief, I know they will. Because through peace, you can create prosperity for all. Through peace, you can create prosperity for all. This interview will be re-edited, and you'll hear the voice of the great man, Nnamdi Kanu. You hear the voice of his outstanding, incredible wife. You will hear her voice as well. And together, combined, they'll create a podcast series in which the issues raised today will be further expanded and additional information provided, as we did on the previous podcast, which was very well received. I'd ask you to spread the word that the future is hopeful. The future is ours. Success is ours from taking. Yes, that's our anthem here. Help us to spread the word. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. It simply helps us to spread the word. It tells the YouTube algorithm that the content here is worthwhile. Its content is worth sharing. I see in the commentary here there's reference to Marcus Garvey. I know if Marcus Garvey were absorbed in this interview, and those of you who don't know who Marcus Garvey is, Jamaica's first national hero, I urge you to put his name in the search engine and study his life. I'm very hopeful for the future because we will transform the world together. Thank you. Thank you. Before you go, I just want to put two questions to you. Have you been moved by the subjects that we've discussed today? And if you have, please reach out to us. What we're keen to do is to speak to you, to understand what subject you think we should tackle in the future. Our email address is themotivatorshow501 at gmail.com. Themotivatorshow501 at gmail.com. I am confident that the land of the upright people, Burkina Faso, are watching as well. Yeah. If Nigeria had a leader like Ibrahim Traore, oh my gosh, that would be truly an inspirational experience. And Nigeria very quickly will be a multi-trillion dollar many times over economy. Because through that peace that he would wield, prosperity would thrive, and all the peoples of the land, whether you be intimate or working alongside each other, will prosper. And in doing so, transform the lives of people across West Africa. If they had a leader like Ibrahim Traore. Oh yes, oh yes. So I say to you, until the next time, I am the motivator, where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours, yours, for the taking.
What does it take to get people to pour onto the streets? In Nigeria, the answer is a story that started over 50 years ago. History isn't just something you read in books. In Nigeria, it's a living, breathing wound. And on the 20th of October, that wound threatened to reopen, not with violence, but with the deafening sound of footsteps marching for a cause that simply refuses to die. This isn't just about one man. This is about a protest that taps into decades of history. A peaceful, global demonstration is set to unfold from the streets of Abuja to cities across the world. Large numbers are expected to answer the call for solidarity, demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB. As the world watches, this coordinated movement could become a pivotal moment in Africa's modern history. To understand the fire behind the October 20th protest, you have to understand the embers that have been glowing for more than half a century. The story doesn't start with Nnamdi Kanu, but with the Republic of Biafra back in 1967. The predominantly Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria broke away, declaring an independent state. This act sparked a brutal 3-year civil war. It was a conflict that left an estimated 1 million people dead, many from starvation, and ended the Biafra surrender. The government's official line was no victor, no vanquish, a promise to reconcile and rebuild. For many Igbo people, however, that promise rang hollow. The years after the war were marked by policies and economic realities they saw as punishing, marginalizing. There was a sense of being shut out of the economy, alienated from politics, and a feeling that every issue that led to the war were never really fixed. The war ended, but the wounds remained. Decades passed. A new generation grew up, not with the direct trauma of war, but with the stories, the economic gap, and the lingering sense of being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. This is the soil where the modern Biafran movement took root. Groups like the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, or MASSOB, popped up in the late 90s. Then in 2012 came the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, founded by the charismatic and confrontational British Nigerian activist named Nnamdi Kanu. Using his online platform, Radio Biafra, Kanu gave a powerful and often inflammatory voice to those long-simmering grievances. To his supporters, he wasn't just a leader. He was the embodiment of the struggle passed down through generations. He took the historical narrative of being pushed to the margins and turned it into an urgent modern call for self-determination. For them, Nnamdi Kanu isn't just an individual, he is a symbol of a deep and persistent cry for justice that was echoed over 50 years.